Being the only Scotsman when I arrived, I thought I could have been called a lot worse than Jock, so I didn't mind it that much. I class myself as a Yorkshireman through and through. I say Sheffield United is the club for me. We were going up in the lift one night and Dave Bassett's full room was in the lift. It was just an unbelievable season, and as I say, you'll never see anything like that again. And a lot of the attributes of what Chris had developed within his team reminded me a lot of our time under Dave Bassett. The way we played football, the squad we had, the team spirit we had within the squad. It was just an amazing 5 years of my life, and as I say, it was fantastic.
This is the Sheff United Way podcast.
Before we get into this wonderful chat with our friend Ian Bryson, I would like to tell you about a fantastic YouTube channel that you should all subscribe to. The League of 72 is a YouTube channel dedicated to all things EFL. From live shows to behind the scenes footage and even interviews with current players and managers. Relating to us, they currently have the Blade season review from the 2018-19 promotion season, which is a great watch whatever mood you find yourself in. But not just that, also there's a terrific interview from our old gaffer Chris Wilder. And as this is a YouTube channel all about the league that we play in, there will be lots more Blades content coming up in the near future. Anyway, that's it from me, so take it away, Hal.
Welcome to the Sheff United Way. It is now our pleasure to bring you a former United goal-scoring midfielder who arrived at beautiful downtown Bramall Lane from Kilmarnock in his native Scotland back in 1988. A popular promotion hero who never let the side down. We are delighted to welcome James Ian Cook Bryson. How are you, sir?
Good evening, I'm very good, thank you very much. It's been a while since I heard my full title, but there you go.
Welcome to the channel, mate. Right, we need to clear something up first of all. Jock, are we allowed to call you Jock? Is that the right
You
thing
can
to
call
do?
me Jock, yeah, I've been called a lot worse over the years, but for some reason, being the only Scotsman when I arrived, I think when I did arrive, I thought I could have been called a lot worse than Jock, so I didn't mind it that much, so I let it stick. So
I feel like I'm allowed to call you that because I was born in Dundee and lived in Scotland for 6 years of my life. And also, Ian, you're a fellow Sagittarian. Your birthday is one day after mine. So how does it feel to be brilliant?
Well, I never really thought of myself as being brilliant, but no, it's Sagittarian, 26th of November. So the thing with my birthday is if you look at it, it's 261162. You can actually reverse it and it's exactly the same.
Ooh,
there you go. You've
absolutely
learned that a new thing tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what I can use that, but I've learned. Let's start at the beginning. Can you begin, please, by telling us how you got into the world of professional football?
I was always, from a very, very young age, my father used to help me. We were brought up on a farm, so played football all the time. All I ever wanted to do was play football. Started under 12s and went to a Ayr United boys club. My striking partner in them days was, believe it or not, was Alan McAnally. So we played right through to under 18s, and then Ayr United were quite a small club in them, so we didn't have any apprenticeships or anything. You more or less went from under 18s. If you were good enough, you were signed on, as Alan was, and I wasn't taken on, so I was let go. That was around about the May time. I got an opportunity to play for a junior club in Scotland, which was kind of Bamber Bridge level, which is a local team in Preston, so kind of amateur level. Got a try, played for, it's called Hurlford United. Went there for 3 months and was offered a trial at Kilmarnock in November. Had an unbelievable game against, and it was an under-21s game against Morton, and that was on the Wednesday night. I signed on the Thursday for Kilmarnock, so that was early November. I made my debut for Kilmarnock, and it was because at the time it was quite frosty. There was a lot of games postponed, and we played a friendly against Celtic at Rugby Park, which was the home of Kilmarnock. And in them days, I was a left winger. Well, I was when I came to Sheffield United most of the time as well, but I was left winger. So my first game in the first team was against Danny McGrain, who in them days was the Scottish international right back. So that was my debut into first team football as an 18-year-old, and had a decent game. I was picked in the January in the actual first team in a league game against Hamilton Accies. Scored a penalty in that game, and that was my league debut for Kilmarnock. So that was way back in 1981. So a long time ago. And as I say, I was there for about 7 years before the opportunity to join Sheffield United came along. So I actually thought my chances of becoming a full-time professional had gone. There was always things in Scotland that I was mentioned dispatches by a few teams, but nothing actually happened. And as I say, Sheffield United came along. I was fortunate enough to go and trial with them to Sweden. Had a successful trial, come back, and although I'd signed for Kilmarnock previously to go into the trial, the clubs negotiated a bit of a fee, and I signed for Sheffield United.
I think it's quite hard to imagine how successful, when you would have signed, you were going to be. Blades fans really took you to their heart. One example of this, I suppose, is your goal return with United. It was actually better than your goals a game record in Scotland, which, again, some people might find a surprise. Were you always a goal-scoring midfielder?
I've always found myself in the right place at the right time. I mean, my favourite goals as a left winger, I love crosses, so my job was to cross balls into the box for obviously Brian and Tony, but also I like to be at the back post as well to get on the end of over hit crosses. So, and I always enjoyed scoring goals. I had a decent record for the number of appearances I've had, league appearances. So I think I had over 100 league goals, which is quite unique nowadays from a predominantly midfielder, really. I know I had a little spell up front for United, but as I say, I always had an eye for a goal, so.
Yeah, I mean, if you like overhit crosses, you'd love playing in the team at the moment.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, football's changed dramatically over the years. I'm a great believer in 4-4-2 to a certain degree, playing with wingers or full-backs that get forward and cross the ball into the box, and it's a dying art, really. But if you look at some of the better teams nowadays, your Liverpools and Man Cities, they do put the ball into the box, and that's where you get the most opportunities. And the statistics will tell you that the more times you get the ball into the box, the more likely you are to score goals. So I'm always a believer in playing with wingers and getting balls into the box to create chances.
I need to back Hal up on this one, because it doesn't matter how many balls you get into that box. If they're not very good crosses, you're not going to score goals, and that's what we've been watching for the last 18 months at least.
Yeah, I mean, I know they've struggled. I mean, I watch them regularly all the time on TV. I was gutted that I couldn't get to a game last year. I was due to come to the Sheffield United game against Tottenham. I think it was about the 4th of April. Just before we went into lockdown on the 23rd, so just after, sorry. So I missed that game, and I've not been through since. So, which I'm hoping to sort out this year. So I've had an invitation from Mr. Derek French to come through. So we're just trying to figure out a game at the moment that's suitable. I still work on Matchday. Mr. French, yeah, what a guy. So
yeah, I was talking to him only last night, actually. Yeah, so I'll pass on your best wishes. But it'd be great if you do get a chance to go back, and you'll be fondly received, because Ian, you remained a firm fan favourite. One reason had to be that notable double in a 3-2 win against Nottingham Forest, which was the first win of the season after 17 games, which I know many Blades remember so well. Did you and the rest of the lads truly believe that Sheffield United could stay up that season, a very memorable season?
Yeah, it was an unbelievable season. I mean, as I say, we mentioned earlier, within 2 years of leaving Sheffield United, I'm playing in the English First Division, which was a bit surreal, really. And then a horrible start to the season, 4 points after 17 games. You say we're playing Forest 21st or 22nd of December. So it's hard to imagine. I mean, the way Bassett went about his business and his man management skill, he always insisted and believed in what we could do. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons we kept going, because he installed that into us. And we had successful years, the previous two. The majority of the team were still there. So it was just a matter of getting that first win, I think. And that really gave us a belief and courage to go out and do better. I think obviously after Christmas we went through an unbelievable run of, I think, 7-8 games in a row without getting beat, winning 7 or 8 of them in a row. I think it came to an end that we drew at Wimbledon, but it was just an unbelievable season. And as I say, you'll never see anything like that again, I don't think, in modern football.
No, and I think the fact that you did so well that season made us think last season that we could stay up. But no, obviously it doesn't always happen like that, does it? But that one win, we always thought that one win would have propelled us up, and obviously it did for you guys.
I as I say, I watched obviously last season evolve, and Chrissy Wilder was part of that team and squad at that time. So, and a lot of the attributes of what Chris had developed within his team reminded me a lot of our time under Dave Bassett. The team spirit he had, the 2 promotions, it all kind of added up that possibly he could work the miracle. I do think the fact that the Sheffield United fans couldn't attend the games at Bramall Lane was a massive difference. The season before, they won a lot of games with the odd goal, and last season it just didn't happen. And I'm not sure what went on in the background, signing the players and various things, but they didn't seem the same squad they were in the previous 2 promotions, plus the year they really played well in the Premiership. So
you scored many memorable goals for the Blades. Can you pick your favourite?
That's a very good question.
The fact that you can't think of one right now just means that you scored so many memorable goals.
I wouldn't say they're all memorable. I can remember, for some bizarre reason, I remember scoring a goal against Northampton. I think my second or third home debut. It was a kind of half volley into the top corner. I scored 2 that night, and I scored 2 in my debut at home against, I think it was Bristol Rovers. So I remember goals like that. Both were headers, and I did quite. I think my first 4 or 5 goals at Sheffield United were all headers. And then obviously the Nottingham Forest game, to score 2 goals there. And the closest I ever came to hat-trick was that game as well, because I hit both posts with a header as well. So, those are memorable goals, but none of them. Every goal to me is a fantastic occasion, and as I say, just being part of the Sheffield United team in those days, that the way we played football, the squad we had, the team spirit we had within the squad, it was just an amazing 5 years of my life. And as I say, it was fantastic, to be honest.
Yeah, there is actually a greatest goals VHS video that I used to watch far too often as a child for Sheffield United, and there's a very bizarre bit of commentary, which is Ian Bryson. He doesn't score many, but when he does, they tend to be spectacular. But actually, you did score a lot for a midfielder, so that bit the start of that didn't really make sense. But you did score some goals that were, absolutely spectacular.
No, as I say, I love scoring goals, and as I say, as long as it hit the back of the net and we get the right result, then that was all that mattered to me.
Quite right. I asked for some questions on Twitter along with Nick during the week, and Paul Furby has asked, were you really supposed to be the one in the zone at Leicester? And there'll be younger viewers that won't have a clue what that means, so can you just explain?
Yeah, the zones, it's basically we had 2 spare players in the box for defending corners. In the 2 zone, one would be in the centre of the goals, basically free to attack the ball. And then the first zone that I was in was in front of the near post. So I wasn't allowed to let any players get in front of me, basically. So I was always the one that would try and head that ball away before it got into any danger, if the cross was that particular height. So that was my role quite a bit, because I was decent there for my size, and occasionally they would swap it around, but as I say, I think Jeff Taylor was the one that wanted to be back in that zone that day. So, and that was a memorable game, I must admit. So.
We've got another one from John G on Twitter. He asked, did you feel international recognition was overlooked during your time with us at Bramall Lane?
That is a difficult question to answer.
You can be honest with us.
No. I was selected when I was at Kilmarnock for a semi-pro team, so it was a select team from the Division 1. So Kilmarnock were basically a yo-yo team. We were 1 minute we were in the Premier League and then we were relegated and blah blah. So I was selected for Scotland, and that was a big honour for me, because to me, playing for your national team is the be all and end all. And I know at one stage they did come and watch me when I was scoring quite a few goals and I was playing up front. I think it might be the first or second season in the first division. So I was mentioned in dispatches in the papers up in Scotland because my family were still up there. They kept me in touch with everything, but I never actually got that call up. So I'm not quite sure I was good enough. But when I see some of the players that did play at that time, then maybe I was good enough. So you have to be lucky and play well at the right time. Disappointed I didn't get it, but it wasn't. It hurt, but it didn't really. It never affected me, my performance or anything like that. As I say, things like that are a bonus in your career. I was unfortunate to get picked, but I still had an amazing time at Sheffield United and still do have great memories of what happened.
Absolutely. Good to hear. And I'm pleased it didn't put you off your stride. What's the craziest story you can share about your time at Bramall Lane with all those characters in the dressing room?
It was actually going to Sweden on trial. Now, bear in mind, I've been born and bred in Scotland. I've been there for 25 years. Brought up in a farming background, very naive, didn't know a lot about the crazy gang in them days. So we go to Sweden. Fortunately, there was a lad called Paul Williams who took me under his wing and not warned me, but said, just not keep away, but be aware of Wally Downs and Francis Joseph and some of the antics they get up to. So make sure you don't leave your key lying around because your room will be wrecked. So this was all new to me, completely new to me. Next minute, we're going up in the lift one night and Dave Bassett's full room was in the lift. Now, it was quite a big lift, obviously, but his full room was in the lift. And I had no idea what to say or think. I was just flabbergasted. But Bassett loved all that sort of stuff. He loved all the camaraderie between the players and all the stuff that went on. And that was my first insight into the crazy gang. And God knows when some of the stuff that happened down at that club. But it all was part of the success we had and the team spirit. Because I truly believe that team spirit, it doesn't matter if you've 11 players that are a squad of players that are all together and want to go and achieve something, you can achieve something. And we had that at Sheffield United in abundance. And I think we proved that over the 3 or 4 years that I was there, that we had that sort of success. So third division to Premiership in 3-4 years, it's just surreal for me, to be honest.
Yeah, and that takes us on perfectly to who were your friends in the dressing room at that time?
My roommate was Brian Deane. Brian was my closest mate, really. When I first came to Sheffield, my wife, Kirsty, she had a cousin, actually, who lived out in South Anston, so out towards Worksop. So we kind of looked for a house out that way, so we got a house in North Anston. And Brian, and then he brought a house there with his brother, and there was, I think, Simon Tracy and a couple of his mates ended up living in a house not that far away either. So Brian was my roommate as well. So on away trips, and he used to come up on a regular basis on a Friday night for some home cooking at my house, which my wife felt sorry for him. So the only thing is he used to score goals. There was a kind of bit where I think he scored a hat trick after having a lasagna at my house. So. He used to come on a regular basis after that. It never worked for me, but it seemed to work for him. So
the magic lasagna.
Yeah, it actually made the press that, believe it or not. So.
Oh, I love hearing that. What about then the fact that you were such good friends with Dino, and just what were you feeling? What were you thinking when Brian Deane put the second against the Pigs in at the Lane? Because there was that little hop, skip, and a jump that you did.
No, I mean, I think the build up to the whole game, the city, how it was, and I think it was about 1970 or something before, since the previous game, about 25 odd years. So the fact that, I mean, I think I run through in the first half, Chris Wood save it, and Dane Whitehouse goes in and scores, and then obviously that goal, I was hoping it hit me really, but it didn't, so I can't claim it did. So, but to go 2-0 up, the atmosphere, it was just an amazing game, really, to be part of it, and to get that win, because we knew how much it meant to the fans. It meant the same to the players, because the players got involved in the spirit of the town, or the city, sorry, the spirit of the Sheffield United fans. And as I say, we were in it as much as you were. So, and we'd quite a few Sheffield lads in there, Dane Whitehouse, Mitch Ward, Cal Bradshaw, so lads that had been born and bred in the city, so they understood what it meant to them. So it was just a fantastic occasion. And as I say, I wish that had hit me really, and it would still went in, but it didn't, so I can't claim it. So
I love it. You're reeling off heroes for Nick and I. And I was wondering, are you still in touch with any former United players from those days?
I've still got numbers. I still, if I'm over that way, I mean, I do try and go over once or twice a year. We're still friends out in Northampton, so we come over and stay with them. And if I can get to a game every season, I will get to a game. And as I say, when I usually come over, the last time I was over was the Rotherham game, and we stayed in the hotel at the ground, and that Chrissy Wilder was in there with a few friends from Scotland that day, and we were invited into because I was a guest in the Tony Curry Lounge, and then after the match we were invited down to Chrissy's office, so it was amazing. But we obviously get in the lounges as well. Brad is in there, and Mitch is still in there, so we caught up with them, Peter Duffield as well, so I would still see them when I come over. I'm still in contact with Brian from time to time, and as I say, we do go. Well, there was quite a few kind of anniversaries a few years ago, so we go over for them. So it's just nice to catch up. Great memories, great times. I still see Jamie Hoyland over this way from time to time, and Alan Kelly as well. So great mates, and as I say, great friendships will never be broken.
No, that sounds absolutely incredible. All those names, Harley, carried on and carried on. So good.
Name drop after name drop of legend after legend. I love it.
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely. So 5 great years with the Blades, obviously. You achieved promotions, avoiding relegations, cup runs. But what was your personal highlight?
Personal highlight was probably the 2 promotions. I think we were in top. Wolves was the first one where we actually got promotion. I think we drew 2-2 away from home. That was an amazing experience. But I think the biggest one was after the Leicester game, how the Leicester game went about, the reception we got back at Bramall Lane, the fact Sheffield Wednesday went down on the same day. It was just, if you wrote a script for an amazing story, because we were in the middle of that United documentary as well. So whoever thought of that, they couldn't have picked a better team to do it with. And as I say, it was just what dreams were made of really that day. And the way the game went, going 1-0 down, then every time we scored after that, the fans kept running on the pitch. We were all worried that the game would be abandoned and we wouldn't go up. So all crazy things went on that day. But as I say, it was just, that's the highlight really. That was the biggest thing. Although going and playing at other big clubs after in the first division, nothing like that will ever happen to me again. So it was, well, it's a bit old anyway. So no, but it was just an amazing day, and the reception we got back at Bramall Lane, it was just unbelievable. So I think I've never seen faces with excitement and delight like it. So the fans just that's what makes it all for the players is the fans really. So and how they took to us as a team. So.
You've actually just mentioned something that I wasn't necessarily going to talk about, but you've reminded me of it. That United documentary, which was something I adored. And I know it got a few people into supporting the Blades, people from random parts of England. But when that was actually happening and that was being filmed, did you guys eventually forget the cameras were there, or were you all jockeying for screen time?
No, well, the way it happened, obviously there was specific ones about the players, the manager, the apprentices, the behind the scenes in the director's box and things like that. So a lot of it was for the cameras, let's say. I was involved in quite a bit with the players one because I was a bit of a story, having come down from Scotland. My wife was stuck in the house on her own. It was unbelievable the number of times people phoned her up and offered to babysit. So phoned the club up, offering babysitting service because they all thought she was sitting there on her own. Taking my daughter for her first injections to the hospital, to the doctors. She's now 31 and she's got 3 kids. So where's the time gone? It's a bit crazy. So, but you didn't realise the cameras were there, especially in the dressing room. I know I got a bit of stick, I think, in the Stoke game and various things, but that was Dave Bassett. He loved the attention. They were there in the Leicester game, obviously. So it was pretty real. He didn't hold back, Dave. But that was just his management style, and he always got the best out of players. He got the best out of me, as I say. 3 years before that, I was on a farm driving tractors, milking cows, and playing English First Division. It's stories like that just don't happen. So I'm so grateful for his belief in me as a player, and he got the best out of me, 100%.
Well, for any younger viewers who never saw that documentary, you can find it on YouTube, and Ian's a bit of a star on that, so it's well worth watching. You'll get a real insight into what it was like in the Bassett days. And for you, Ian, Barnsley, Preston, and then Rochdale. I'm going to ask you a question that we want the answer to, but you have to be honest here. Where did you enjoy playing your football the most in your entire career?
That's a naughty question. My wife was on Twitter the other day there, and she had told me this question was going to come up. So. This is fact. Normally, when I'm in Sheffield, I'm Sheffield, and when I'm in Preston, because I'm still work at Preston now as a club ambassador, because I live local. So, but no, my highlight of my career was at Sheffield United. So I class myself as a Yorkshireman through and through, although obviously for obvious reasons I'm not. But as I say, Sheffield United is a club for me.
Oh, we'd love to hear that. Do you know what, Ian? Actually, I met Brian Deane at an awards giving in Leeds, and I asked him this question after I'd had a fair few pints, forgetting that he was from Leeds and we were in Leeds. I said, which club did you enjoy playing football at the most? Thinking that he was going to say Sheffield United straight away. And he was like, oh, you can't ask me that. And then, I ended up embarrassing myself a little bit. So the less said about that, the better.
Well, it was difficult. Brian, obviously, being a Leeds man, he played for Doncaster before he came to the Blades, and in his career at Sheffield United, and then he goes back to Leeds. So they are tough questions because you can pick out memories for both clubs and various things. I had a great time at Preston as well, so I had a bit of success here as well. So different time in my career though, so it was slightly different for me. But I think definitely the highlights for me were the promotion years and the fact we managed to stay in the First Division Stroke Premiership for 3 years. And I always tell Bassett that every time I see you got rid of me and you get relegated. What's that all about? So
I'm amazed, Ian, that you didn't reference the 6-0 against Spurs.
Yeah, that was the highlight in the Premiership, really. I was kind of plagued by injuries that season. And that was one of my biggest regrets, was missing out in the semi-final against Sheffield Wednesday. Because I'd come back into side against Tottenham, got 2 goals, played really well, and then I think I played in both Blackburn games, but had to come off at half-time because of in the second game at Bramall Lane, because of a groin injury that was kind of recurring. I had an operation they call it the Gilmer's groin in them days, so it was a double hernia basically, and that kind of flared up again. And that was actually my last game for Sheffield United. That was another regret as well. I never had the chance to kind of say farewell to the fans. Just what happened came really out of the blue. I didn't expect Mr. Bassett to come and knock on my door and say, I'm not thinking there could be plans in my plans for next season. do you want to go somewhere else? And it was right out of the blue, but as I say, that's football for you. As I say, but the biggest regret is not playing at Wembley, because that was another one of my childhood dreams, was to play at Wembley. Just on the pitch, the old dynamics of what Wembley meant to most footballers. But as I say, missed out in the semi-final. I mean, it was a poor result on the day, and a lot of memories because of what happened and with Mel Reese and various things. So it was a great day, but there was a touch of sadness to it as well.
Yeah, I think we all know that if you'd have been playing, then the score would have been a little bit different, wouldn't it?
Well, I'd like to think so, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll back you up on that one. Don't worry about that. So what are you up to these days then, Ian?
Well, currently I am working for building trucks, basically, and a truck factory. When I finished playing football at Rochdale, I was 36. I'd not really planned on doing anything at all, which was a bit naive of me, really. I said to my wife when I come down to England at 25, I'm going to enjoy my next 10, 11 years. And I did. Fantastic times. But then suddenly realised that at 36 I've still got quite a long working life left. So I was in the middle of doing my coaching badges. So I was doing that at the Cliff at Manchester, which was Manchester United's training ground at the time. And that was one day a week. But I was out of work. So I ended up playing, as I said earlier, for a local team in Preston called Bamber Bridge. They were sponsored by Baxi, who made fires. So they said, well, why don't you go work there until you find something you want to do? Which was okay for short term, but they didn't like the fact that I needed a Thursday off, because it wasn't relevant to building fires for houses. So I ended up giving that up, and I was out of work for about 6 months. Couldn't get anything at all. And then a girl who lives in the same street as us worked at Leyland Trucks, and she said, why don't you come here for 6 months until you find something that you want to do? So that's 21 years ago now. So I'm still there. I work in the quality department, so I deal with supplier issues and various things. And in them days, I did a lot of local radio as well, and I worked for Sky as well, and some of the tunnel stuff. But I've gave that up recently because I'm now a club ambassador at Preston. So on Matchdays, I wander about the kind of lounges, and similar to what Carl and Mitch and Peter Duffield do, wander about, look important, stick a suit on and talk a load of rubbish to fans. So but somebody thought I was qualified for that, so I get on with it.
We love all that. Nick and I experienced that just the other day with those guys, and it's fantastic.
No, they've got great stories. They're great lads. As I say, I enjoy when I get back to see them. So the only thing is, I've seen some pictures recently of quite a few of our lads and book signings and various things. And some of them have not aged that greatly. That's all.
One question I have regarding that is, what was the shampoo like in the dressing room? Because I mean, there's not a hair left between any of them, is there really?
Well, not a lot. I don't know. And there's a few grey ones here as well. So I'm not quite sure who was providing that. So I don't think there'll be any sponsorship going out for that.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Ian. We really appreciate the time that you've spent with us today, and we've heard some great stories from you. So thank you very much from me and Hal.
Excellent. Thank you very much.